Hello and welcome back. We are here continuing as the French Republic, and I know what you might be thinking. That's not our blue, that's not our republic. We weren't a republic. What happened? We were obviously a monarchy, previously in the necrocracy. Well, last episode we traveled through time, and by traveled through time, I mean my OBS settings were messed up, and so no audio was recorded, so I'm not pubbing that episode, because it's a lot of this. And so, what we will be doing is we will be continuing on here, which is one episode later. Unfortunately, we did pass Republic. This is the biggest thing we did. We also juiced up our construction a whole lot, and we moved along towards our two continued objectives, which is returning the Louisiana Purchase. We only have to return a little bit more. It's been a slow going, a little bit slower than returning on Amazon. And then also, we annexed a good chunk of Eastern France here, and so we are working to restore France, but we have the uber-cursed French Republic over Germany, while not having any France over France. I'm sorry, not France, Western France. And so we are continuing along, and we kind of wanted to start a fight with Austria-Hungary, but we are doing something this episode or this run that we have not done previously. We're also going Council Republic after going Presidential Republic, which was part of last episode. We got this Chad. We also passed, and this is kind of a rough one to gloss over, so let's just kind of reel it back in for a moment. We also just sacked, because we're so handsome and good at this game, a humanitarian role on our trade unionists, so we just passed multiculturalism as well, which was big easy. New Granada is demanding to become free. We're not going to do that. So we did... we sacked and we rolled that, and we did pass also multiculturalism, which is a big part of this come up, or this continued come up in terms of GDP, because now we can of course siphon off pops from over here, and we're just going to have huge migration pull from here. Migration, the amount the exodus can be is dependent on your population, and the amount you can bring in is based on your infrastructure, so we're continuing along that way. And then finally, returning to what I was talking about earlier, I think this is the first time I've ever gone for multilateral alliances ahead of time, but really just kind of want these extra maneuvers, and we want to get them before we start this war with Austria-Hungary, which we're probably going to start by dowing on Krakow. That way we avoid the entire alliance matrix, because they have an alliance with Russia. Russia will get pulled in, and so it would be easier to just go after Krakow, and we're probably going to have to go after Krakow anyways, if we want to get a nice big France over the top of France. And so this is kind of what we're going to be doing as we continue along. So we're just chilling for now, because we just want to, you know, kind of wait that through. I suppose we could try and annex Frankfurt or something like this. It wouldn't be too bad. But really, just 7 weeks left. We're just going to wait for it, and then we're going to declare war on Austria-Hungary in some way, probably going after a subject. So one thing we are also doing here in Dalmatia is we are overbuilding on the infrastructure here, because infrastructure is based off of, migration is based off of infrastructure. Your total infrastructure is the cap that you can bring in, and we are trying to build this place up nice and big and tall, because we have this power plant bonus. And so while we're really not making too good a use of it now, because we have such little amount employed, we are hoping that by overbuilding the railways and employing here initially, we can pull in a lot of pops, and so that in the long run, this is going to be an excellent hub for our electricity, and we are going to eventually want to kind of connect across. Tyrol will probably be a grab in the Austria-Hungary thing, but more than anything, we're going to look to cut across here and deny access to their market here in Austria-Hungary. If we go to the Austria-Hungary market and we click zoom, I'm pretty sure their market capital is here, and so by just taking these states, we will deny the ones on the right all their market access, which is kind of the standard, kind of what you're doing in order to break apart these countries, especially the bigger ones. So they are looking fearful, as they should be, and no one else has joined their cause, so we're just going to make all these primary and then also put in war reparations. And it's a good thing in particular what we did is we got the multilateral alliances, because we needed enough maneuvers in order to make all those primary, because there's a decent chance if we didn't do this, they would back down. Now we could try and massage it a little bit and make them not all primary and put Tyrol in there, but our long-term long-term plan is just going to be puppeting them after this. I think we will kneecap them enough, denying them market access. If it doesn't work out, we'll feel a little bit silly, but I think overall this plan is going to work, and we're going to get in on them. Now we can also finish mobilizing the last of our guys, which we kind of were holding off on because we didn't want them to back down, and we'll just put everyone on fronts and have a go at Austria-Hungary here. Notably, we cannot do any landings because they have no coast except for that little bit, but we'll be getting that pretty easy, and this war should be easy, so let's get into it. I am shocked, but we are still maintaining our trench advantage, and this might be because trench has a difficulty spreading to other people, because in order to spread, I do believe there is the criteria that you have to have gotten all previous tier technologies, and currently no one on Earth has researched self-propelled torpedoes, so it looks like they can't spread trench work to each other, and so we continue to have this huge technological advantage of these wars. Not that it's especially important, because, you know, we're going to be winning this anyways, but ooh, tech spread for society would be nice, except we're not spreading any right now. We are not benefiting from tech spread at all, and so the amount we have overflowing over our literacy cap is not particularly useful, but what we're going to do after electric railways, I think, is go for some spicy, you know, way ahead of time thing like compression ignition, and then let the natural spreads start to pick up a little bit. We will be ahead of everyone because we have every tech everyone else has, which is why we're not spreading them, and then this way we can get a really good tech like compression ignition kind of ahead of time, and so we'll do this. Well, we'll progress that civil war. Hopefully it doesn't pop. I believe it's capped at 79 here, and we just really want to get in Council Republic, and then after that, we don't have a problem giving them protected speech, but we'll see how things go, and we'll make sure to fill up the queue, because it's Hungary. I think it's probably worth talking about, even though I've talked about this in a lot of other places, one of the big reasons that you go Council Republic is so that we can go cooperative ownership afterwards, and the big thing that cooperative ownership does is it changes the ownership type from capitalists to farmers and shopkeepers, which is preferable after you kind of pass this 1.2 billion mark because of this modifier here. All investments are multiplied by 0.37 due to the GDP size, and this is all investments from the investment pool transfer. And so money that is getting put into the investment pool transfer is getting multiplied by 0.37, and so it is effectively erasing 63% of this. There are some extra modifiers, but this is the idea, the pattern is still fundamentally the same, and this is why we're doing this, is because capitalists contribute 20% of their income to this investment pool, and shopkeepers and farmers only contribute 5%, and so less money will be kind of being erased by 63%, or there will be less money that will be subject to the 63% erasure with a different ownership type, and this is why, you know, capitalists are really good early on, and then they start getting to be not very good at all, and because the investment pool as a mechanic falls off very, very, very deeply, and that's why we're trying to make this change. Also, and this is kind of a bit of a different thing to do with it, is if you come into population, you will see that SOL, or wealth, does not scale linearly with income, and so another thing that it does is by making more money be going to more lower rung pops, it will effectively juice up the SOL, because the SOL, you know, needs are exponential. And so when you have more when you have more lower rung pops splitting all of the money, which is kind of what cooperative ownership does, you overall juice up your SOL, which helps to drive migration specifically, and we accept all of the pops, and so what we might be doing soon, for example, might be coming into East India Company and annexing it. That way we can pull off pops from here, you know, in order to get cheap labor everywhere, and so this is going to help facilitate growth, even though we do not have we're not getting as much investment pool transfer anymore, or we're going to kill this once we get cooperative ownership. But the 63% that's getting erased is not getting passed around, and instead what the less investment pool transferring farmers and shopkeepers do is they will increase consumption, so the overall the consumption of our consumption goods will go up, and this will stimulate the economy rather than the economy being stimulated by the purchase of construction goods by the by the capitalists. Instead, it's now more pushed by the shopkeepers and farmers' consumption for their own personal use rather than reinvestment. And so this is kind of a big reason why we're doing this. It's also worth looking at some of this ruinous effect our wars have been having on the other powers, or the other huge powers. You know, we cut this line through Russia. Now the Russian market has almost no access, with the exception of obviously these guys over here, of which Qing joined for whatever reason. So Qing, no state in Qing really has a lot of market access. Now this is less backbreaking for Qing specifically as a country, because Qing has an enormous amount of subsistence farms, and that's kind of all that's really running, and all that's really running profitably. We might declare another war in here, but like Persia's getting wrecked by this, and then coming up on the war we just finished. Now all of this is cut off from Austria-Hungary, so expecting to see, you know, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states left over here, expecting to see a probable decay into minor power, at which point we will be able to puppet them, and once we puppet them, all this will return to normal market access. And so this is kind of the game plan, is to, you know, chop up. I believe that, for example, Sicily is the market capital, if we take a look at 2 Sicilies. And so if we wanted to specifically go after the Sicilian market, we see this is the market capital in Campania. We would want to take like Abruzzo and Calabria in order to cut off as much as possible and force them to use as much convoys as possible to maintain the integrity of their market. And so this is kind of why we're doing this in this particular way, to really kneecap them. Of course, maybe we should be kneecapping the British a little bit and do the good old Falkland Island special, where we take all their other states, so we exile them to the Falkland Islands. This seems like a good end for our mortal nemesis, and so we might be doing that moving forward. Alright, decided that we did in fact want to change our leader from the humanitarian, as much as it hurts, because these guys are really good to get. We want to grant leadership to the anarchist. Wait, did we exile him? I hope we didn't exile him. I thought we hit grant leadership. Yes, okay. We granted leadership here, but this guy hasn't changed yet. Maybe you just need to wait a tick for this to update, but I'm pretty sure our leader is supposed to be this guy now, or perhaps this is a bug. But the point is, by having an anarchist now in government, we can start taking the path to socialism by having an interest group in government. I think that this is actually new. This has to be true for at least 3 months, and so we will start taking that. That's a nice adjustment in patch 1.3 to prevent, you know, just barely binking something, and we get a Monday morning, and this guy's still in charge, so that's a little bit interesting. Not sure it should work that way, but we will hopefully be kind of progressing that event chain, because we are Commie now. You know, while we were in the shadow of the great Louis Napoleon Bonaparte, the undead warlord who was responsible for a lot of this, we could not enact communism, because obviously he had to be the supreme leader, but now we can enact communism. And speaking of communism, we could run our own presses. I don't think we're going to do this, though, because I don't think we want to progress the Civil War, and actually it's super okay having the intelligentsia get stronger, because we do kind of want them to, we want to be having their bonus when it's big. Of course, they're really mad at us right now, but once we get this guy out and this guy out, we should be in fine sales. In fact, can we even... I don't think we can exile him because he's insurrectionary, but he would be someone we'd maybe want to exile, even though we've implemented a lot of stuff he seems to like. Also, we're going after, you know, more Eastern France miners, and kind of going to do a little bit of these small ball wars to try and fix up the borders, make them look nice and pretty. For Belle Epoque, of course. And we get Path to Socialism completing here. Not sure I quite understood. I thought we would need to wait longer than 3 months, but I guess I read that incorrectly, and we just needed to wait 3 months. And so we can either guarantee fair wages. I don't think we want wage subsidies. I do think we want regulatory bodies, but we'll see what this third option is. I don't think we want the pop attraction, because we would rather the trade unions kind of split power between a few, and so we get regulatory bodies just right in there. there, and we will look to rank up this quite quickly. And so in order to do that, we will continue to build up. We have been building up for some time government administrations, really keeping an eye on tax, really kind of tamping down. You notice almost all places are kind of okay on as far as tax goes, but what we can do, since we just need raw bureaucracy at this point, we're just going to find whichever ones, you know, are close to 51ing, in particular favoring ones that are going to have a large amount of population, and we'll just bring them to 51. And the reason we're doing this is because this is the max economies of scale throughput, and so these are going to be worth more bureaucracy overall, and this will allow us to come in and, you know, push the regulatory bodies up quite a bit, so that we can, you know, have less people dying, because, you know, this is a good thing. Less people dying. We love falafel, so we get a pretty big war and enforcement here on the Ottomans. We're gonna kind of propose this peace deal, also notably annexing Haiti, Isaac, along with this, which will help to push down other great powers to major power status, because they are either getting it based off the global average GDP or percentage of our GDP. Global average prestige or percentage of our prestige. As our prestige continues to climb, it will have to use the lower threshold, which for them is probably going to be global average, and so annexing smaller powers is going to be helpful for this. And we are also looking to take Sinai, very importantly, because our far-flung market is starting to really use a lot of convoys just to maintain, you know, its own integrity, and so getting this canal in is going to make a big deal for us, to be able to, you know, do this all more cheaply. We're going to put a port there too, and then we're going to put the Sinai Canal there at the top, and also just kind of taking a look what we were taking off of them. Other than that is we are trying to deny market access to the Ottomans, and it looks like we're doing a decent job. It's hard to tell. Their base color is relatively good for that. So it looks like, let's see, they have 100% access still. Okay, so they will have access, but they will be more convoy dependent. We're just kind of letting it tick. It looks like we have gotten to it on Monday here, and they still have 100% access, which is, you know, really actually thought we were going to deny them access here, but it looks like they still get their access. But we will look to continue to try and, you know, knock some of these GPs out. I don't think that we really set up to do a world conquest, but maybe it'd be possible, especially if we don't do a one-tag world conquest. We'll see. We'll also get freedom, equality, and brotherhood. I think that we will not be getting anyone to be a radical or a reformer. I think we're just going to do this one to give popularity to Clemescu. And then, of course, we get the ideal. I think we will go after the university throughput isn't really useful because we're not spreading something. And then we get open arms, which is a big and important one. Come one, come all. The Grand Colossus or Great Colossus. I believe that it was called New Colossus, the event, and now it's called Open Arms. Or was this always called New Colossus? I can't remember. But the migration attraction permanent is particularly strong, and so that will help out. And so, you know, kind of coming along quite nicely here. I think now is probably a good time to conclude the episode. In this episode, we have gone communist, or we've gone, at the very least, Council Republic, and that was kind of the big thing for this today. And also, you know, kind of massacring our poor boy here in Austria-Hungary, which is, okay, maybe this is the worst one, where we just kind of cut them in half. We are looking to get them out to be a minor power. It looks like we made a mistake and we should have taken Tyrol, because if I'm not mistaken, they are still, they're not GP, but they are not going to decay low enough to be a minor power. Oh, but they're so close. So maybe if we annex enough minor powers, as we were talking about earlier, we'll lower the average, which will allow us to come after them. So we will continue to go after, you know, these Eastern French miners over here, and look to reincorporate them into the fold moving forward, and also kind of keeping an eye on the ball in regards to our other main objective, which is unpurchasing that Louisiana. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, you know, do the YouTube algorithm stuff, and other than that, have a good day.